So I just listened to this lovely speech that Pete Hegseth, I don't know, he was giving it to all all the halves of society about, King Jesus and him blessing us. And I guess what really is troubling is, do they really want Jesus to bless America? I don't think so. Maybe. They just want their kingdom. RFK Jr. is all about the flesh. There's a reason Jesus said, it's not about the flesh. Because it turns into the RFK Jr. attitudes, which is your male masculinity movement, which is your Pete Hegseth, which is then your churches of Doug Wilson, and many more. I mean, while you had a bunch of Protestant churches back in the day calling out the Catholic Church, you didn't have anybody calling out the Protestant church for not being much better. You all wanted to keep man's kingdom in place. And to me, it's like, in order to know Jesus, it takes having to be honest with oneself. But it doesn't seem that, it seems that, to me, what I see is people just speak it. And they think that's okay. Maybe it is. I don't think so. I think that God wanted you to know him. So it's clearly obvious now that America owns TikTok that nothing's changed. The same people that were shadow banned under China are still shadow banned under America. But it was always America that was shadow banning, even when, I mean, really, I had more views under China than I did under America. That's a sad state of affairs, actually. But it's the truth. Other people have said that too. However, it's your very technology, tech, and government, and both sides of the aisle responsible for all of this. But it's your very things that God then has a record to use against you. It is. And so when I say you're under review, everyone's under review, you should take that seriously. But you don't, because you think, no, we'll keep our kingdom in place. In fact, I don't even think you think that. I think you just figure, no, we know best. But that's part of the problem that God's had with man, is you think you know best. You want to talk about these family values, while many of you have gone on to be in all of these secret societies, some of them not even secret, but all male dominant, showing on the surface that you are so insecure that you need a male dominated society to be a part of. Showing there is that is not somebody that has any understanding of Jesus. Your kingdoms, all of them, from Rome to Pharaoh, to the Middle East, to Israel, to America, you have all created kingdoms that is the haves and the have-nots. You have no way around that. And you may think, but we know best. Like, I had just come across a video that, I don't know, it's this Matt Matthews, okay? I don't know. He's some comedian, owns a bunch of horses. Okay, he's all over TikTok, okay? But he was saying that nobody respects you when you're on the bottom. That's in this world. That's in man's kingdom. Why did Jesus hang with the people that were on the bottom? for a reason. Because he had no respect for man's kingdom. And if you don't believe that, then take it up with God. Take it up with God. Look at the Bible and see how Jesus, he wasn't hanging out in the kingdoms. He wasn't hanging out with the nobles. Mary Magdalene is said to have been from a noble family, but they cut her from the Bible altogether but she understood Jesus. So did most of the women. They understood him more than most of the men. Then you'd say, but Jesus picked 12 men. Well, of course he did, because women were not respected in any way back then. Is it any different today? A little. A little. But you can see when you see hundreds and hundreds across this country of these male-dominated societies that clearly man has not advanced very much. They want to tell themselves, we are the people that will instill moral value in men. Really, Pete Hegseth. Really, Doug Wilson. I mean, fine if you want to believe that, but don't stand on Jesus and claim it. Not when you stand in a church and a brotherhood of women need to know their place. Your ideas of family values is so twisted. It's as twisted as the left. Because it's phony and it's fake and it's false and I hate it. This is a phone that's not even on. That's how much they listen to you. You heard the beep? Yeah, it happens all the time in my videos. So see, God will use the tech stuff. He will use, because everything is a record. No matter how much you shadow ban me from the public, think about how God can then use that to say, wait a minute, no, this was somebody speaking of Jesus, speaking honestly from their heart about my son. And you decided in your kingdom, in your wisdom, that you would shadow ban them. That you would decide what was acceptable, what was what was acceptable and respectable. And yet none of you even know Jesus. And if in this small review period you don't want to get right with that and you want to keep shadow banning, which I imagine you will, because as much as you're all rocket scientists and so smart, you aren't smart enough to seek Jesus and ask for mercy.